Hello and welcome to another one of videos that we do, which is meeting with an extraordinary nonprofit to celebrate the work that the nonprofit does in their community. And this is tied to our pop-up grant initiative and our wonderful partners at Whelen Engineering. Sharon, thank you for joining us. We will get to your intro here in just a moment. I want us all to just give a round of applause to Whelen Engineering. They make these wonderful pop-ups available. They encourage their employees to put the name of their favorite nonprofits in a bowl, and they shake it up once a month or so, and they draw one out at both the sites in New Hampshire and here in Connecticut. But our guest today, Sharon Burgess, is a volunteer with Live and Let Live Farm in New Hampshire. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Jennifer, I'm going to kick it over to you and let you.
So Sharon, if you could tell us a little bit about your organization and, how you got involved and.
So Live and Let Live Farm is about a 70-acre farm in Chichester, New Hampshire. We have at any given time, anywhere between 65 and 75 horses. We're the largest equine rescue in the Northeast. So we may have donkeys, we may have mules, we may have mini horses, we may have ponies, and then obviously full horses. That's how it started back in the 1970s. Then in 1996, we incorporated as a 501c3. And over time, it became apparent that when we rescued a horse, there was often someone else in distress that needed to come along, whether it was a goat or a couple sheep or a pig.
I'm sorry. I have visions of you arriving at somebody's farm and they're like, while you're here.
Yeah. That often would happen. So it just grew to much bigger than just an equine rescue. And now I'd like to describe the farm as the large animal side and the small animal side. We also do very big rescue of dogs, cats, guinea pigs, and rabbits. So we have flights every week or transports that come in mostly from kill shelters in the South.
Oh, wow.
Our favorite type of dog to rescue would be a pregnant mama because she's the first one that is put down.
Yeah.
So we take pregnant mamas every single week and then have them with babies and foster out as she's having her time with her babies. And then we're able to adopt out once they're after 8 weeks old. And cats similarly. So it's a very large farm. When people come, they say, I never realized it was this big. When we incorporate it as a 501c3, there are really only about 4 paid employees of the farm. We are a total volunteer organization that requires a lot of manpower. And through COVID, we lost a lot of man and woman power, obviously. We lost a lot of volunteers. And so we are trying hard to build back our volunteers.
All right, so that's a big call to action for you right now as volunteers. And Sharon, I'm going to jump in just for those that are not familiar with the organization and your connection. Will you make the connection? So
Sure. So I came on Fast and Furious in July. I retired in April with my husband. We both retired, and we unfortunately had to put down our last dog at that time. And it wasn't long before we were like, oh, this isn't working, but we can't get another dog because when you're in retirement, you want to do other things, and maybe traveling is part of that. So we started looking for an organization to volunteer at, and we found Live and Let Live. I'd heard about them, but had never been to the farm. And so we volunteered. We are very much city people, know nothing about a farm, had probably never really stepped foot on a farm in our lives. And before you know it, my husband's driving tractors and we're feeding horses and cleaning up around horses and goats and doing all kinds of stuff. We did say we wanted to stay on the large side of the farm so that we wouldn't be taking home things that fit in our vehicle. And that didn't last long. In our vehicle, we did adopt a horse in September Yes, we adopted her in September. A draft horse, not just a horse. No.
Oh my
The biggest
gosh,
possible
that's
horses
like,
that you could
yeah.
get. She is a 24-year-old lady who had quite a hard life, and
Wow.
we just wanted to make sure she would have the rest of her life on the farm. And that option is available to people who adopt from the farm. Is if there's room, you can have the animal stay on the farm and be cared for, have their buddies that they've always had, but someone is actually taking care of the vet bills and taking the load off the farm for the support of that animal. So
Oh my gosh.
that's how we came in. But my husband and I are the furthest. So I think anyone who wants to volunteer should hear. Nothing's impossible. You find new areas and new ways of doing things. And this was just totally out of our wheelhouse, yet we've just found a great place to be able to help. And it wasn't long before I found myself in the office, and I now am. There's no official titles, but when I sign letters and stuff, I have to have some kind of title. So I'm a volunteer, but I'm a corporate giving and corporate volunteer coordinator. So that means if anyone wants to donate, they're typically coming through me. If any organization wants to do a volunteer day at the farm, they're coming through me, and I set that all up. Um,
Wonderful. Oh my gosh.
yeah, so it didn't take long to get something under me, but that's enough about me.
So,
if
no,
I-
and but thank you for
Wow.
that. I'm sorry, Abby, I didn't mean to jump in. I just really wanted to say, for me personally, I think it was really important to ask you your connection, because to your point, you and your husband thought of yourselves as city people. Like you did, it wasn't like you had a farm upbringing and working with big animals. So I think it's important for anyone who's watching this that you don't have to have a lot of knowledge about taking care of animals. If you have a love of animals, then there are people who will show you what to do. And that, I think that's a really important message too, because a lot of times I think people really love animals, but they were not raised around them, particularly large animals. And they think that you have to have a lot of expertise. So.
Right. There's a lot of help on the farm to help you learn. So that's always available. Another important point, unless Abby, did you want to ask some questions before?
Yeah, I was just curious, what does like a volunteer outing look like on the farm? I'm just envisioning snuggling with little piglets. That's, that would be my ideal. But, what does somebody get to do?
Yeah, most often snuggling, maybe with a goat, definitely puppies, but some of the larger animals, most of them are neutered, fixed, because we obviously don't want to have too many more being procreated on the farm. But a volunteer day can be anything from the storm was devastating this last 2 weeks, and we've had a huge pine tree came down and basically split our chicken coop, or we call it our poultry palace because it's not just chickens, split it right in half. No animals were hurt, but we have to rebuild that. But in order to rebuild it, you can imagine the type of splintered wood everywhere around that place. So we have a work day coming up next week, and that's exactly what it will be. It will be collecting all that debris and removing it so that the builders can come in, and they've done some temporary fix, but so they can really get in and fix things. That's one type of volunteer thing that could happen. Another thing is I have a school coming in that wants to basically adopt a spot. And this is so adorable. So I'm giving them the mini goats for 6 weeks. They will come in and clean the paddock and feed them and just love on them. Just learn to be with them and not be afraid of them. And these are young kids that what the mantra of the CEO, the one who actually dreamed of Live and Let Live Farm, is that the children of today are the rescuers of tomorrow. So she is so committed to saying,
Wow.
we want families, we want kids, we want the ability to have everyone find a place on the farm to help out. So other volunteer things, if it's a corporate volunteer day, it might be washing windows, it might be painting fences, lots of painting. It could be walking dogs. We never have enough people to walk all the dogs to say all our dogs get out in one day. They get out for fresh air, but they might not all get a walk. So anything like that can happen. Sometimes we have from the South, for some reason, there's a lot of Chihuahuas, and they're very nervous animals, and they just need to be cuddled for the longest time. And for someone to just sit with them for half an hour to an hour is like, we don't always have time to stop and do that. So we may just say, do you want dogs? We have a dog job that needs to be done. So there are endless possibilities. Sometimes we have people come in that have they're not able to have the ability to walk through the farm and stuff. We'll set them up an area where they can stuff envelopes. So we can be so flexible. We just have so much work that always needs to be done that we're happy to adapt and give someone a job that's meaningful, that they can feel good about.
Wow. No, it does.
Sharon, do you have like a certain capacity of horses that you can take? I know you have a lot of, 70 acres, but do you ever have to turn any away because you're at full capacity?
Right. So I don't know that we've ever turned anyone away. What we've typically done is had to slow down the progress. So we have enough for 85. That's been our highest census ever. And 85 is a lot to handle unless we add more volunteers. But in terms of space, there's unlimited space. We haven't even used 20% of the farm yet. There's plenty of room for everybody. But sometimes we slow down accepting an animal until, we'll take sort of the worst first kind of thing. And then do what we can to help out as soon as we can. We also help out when there's any kind of seizure of animals. So there was a Northwood seizure. I don't know if you guys know about that in the
I
state.
read that. Yeah.
And we got a bulk of those animals, and they've just been released this week, so we can start truly caring for them and send them out for adoption. So that's been wonderful because they've been with us since September. Another type of rescue we do is Mustangs. So when they're rounded up by the U.S. government and stuff, we'll do a Mustang rescue. And you have to commit to a certain number of animals to take in, and we'll do pre-adoptions. So they may only land on the farm for a few days, and then they're going to their forever homes. Sometimes they have to certainly stay a little bit longer, depending, what their opportunities are, where they're going to head. We've also done Premarin rescues, which is from the pharmaceutical industry. Animals that have been used in pharmaceutics can't, we try to rescue as many as we can. And we did a huge rescue of, I think it was 4 tractor trailer loads, and pre-adopted many of those out. So we're very active in trying to, even if we can't do it with our own hands, making sure that there's someone that can help do a larger rescue.
Amazing.
You must have an incredible network then as well, just of knowing sort of like who's doing what work in your footprint, or maybe who you can reach out to if you do need extra hands, or I would presume, if you're moving animals, if you need extra. Do you have a really good network in your region for things like that?
I really have to credit the CEO. That is her love of the farm. I mean, that's truly what she loves to do. And she's been doing it so long, since the 70s. She's got the connections. And so she's done a great job making sure that our name is out there, and that our ability to help is there, but also, that we can manage it, and just proven success, I think. But this is kind of funny. If she watches this, I'm going to be a little embarrassed, but this is how long she's been doing it. She has an AOL address, tehorse@aol.com, and she won't change it because she's so afraid of someone not being able to find her.
Yeah.
So I laugh when I see it. I'm like, oh, people must think, where are we, from the dark ages?
So here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna give a shout out to a young techie person in your community that can come in and help take a look at that and get it set up for automatic forwarding, and then you can work on making sure that she never loses. So there you go. That's one of your first things on your wish list, right?
Yes,
you need somebody in your community that loves technology and knows all about how to set up those things to get them automatically forwarded, so you don't lose anything. But so that you're right, so that people are like, oh, okay, here it is. So how funny.
Sharon, I have a question. I saw on your website that you do tours there in season when the weather's a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
How would someone, if they wanted to, come and tour the farm, how would they go about setting up that?
It's just show up. It's 2 o'clock
Okay.
on Sundays, and you actually need no reservation. The requirements are closed toe shoes. That's the biggest requirement, and layers because it's a walking tour. But no open toe shoes on the farm. So that's the biggest requirement that we have, and no smoking on the farm. But there are very few rules. You come and you meet, you sign in, sign a small release, and then you're allowed to be on that tour and get to see all the wonderful animals. And it's for young children. It's the kind of thing you can sort of start, and then when you're done, you can be done. You don't have to stay for the whole long tour because looking at that many horses can get a little tiring sometimes. But they'll get to all the highlights of the farm first.
So piggybacking on Jennifer's question, okay, so people can show up for a tour, but what if someone is watching this and they're thinking, I absolutely am going to go volunteer with that organization? How do they reach out to you to find out more about volunteering? Other than just showing up, which would probably be a good thing too.
Yeah, I think for volunteering, for long-term volunteering, if you're not with a corporate day or something, if you just want to come to volunteer, there is a process. And depending how involved you want to be, the equine side of the farm takes a little bit longer to go through the safety and training. And that's a once a week commitment until you get through the safety. And some people fast track because they know a farm and they can get through real quickly. Other people, it could take as long as, 2 months, once a week. So 8 sessions before, or 3 months. It's at your pace, really. But that's to get to the tougher side of the farm. The smaller side of the farm with the dogs and cats can go through pretty quickly. That's just small safety so that if there is a horse loose or if there is something going on the farm, you kind of know what the alerts are and what it means. But you can sign up on the website. I would encourage people, we are having our website revamped. So if you put my contact information that you have, I can always make sure to get back to someone and get it to the right places. But we are, like I said, the website is being redesigned. So it could go a little crazy for a little bit just to make sure we get right. You never know. And I don't want to miss any volunteers because we need you.
Okay. Well, we will definitely, we can definitely include all of that though.
And as your website's being redesigned, what's the best way for someone to make a donation to you?
So donations are, let's see, we do have a QR code. That is probably the easiest. I'm trying to think how I would get that to you. I could probably get it to you so you can implant it, but people that don't use QR codes, there is PayPal, there's direct, location, direct, sending something directly to the farm, which all the information is on the website. But,
I think you're doing a great job. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And if anybody's watching this, it's liveandletlivefarm.org. So that's pretty simple and straightforward. So, right. What's your wish list for the upcoming year? I mean, obviously we know donations. So we're going to say right there, right? And I noticed on your website, you have a big thing at the top, a banner at the top to let people know the cost of hay has gone up. And so
hay is incredible. We go through a tractor trailer of hay every 3 weeks, and that's 8,000 bales. That's a lot of hay. So each tractor trailer load that comes through is very expensive, and we can't live without hay, obviously. There are other things. Our vehicles are old, as in any farm, and there are a number of vehicles we're looking to replace this year. We desperately need a dump truck. We desperately need a panel truck. We had a panel truck and dump truck fail this year that we are trying to fix, but in place of a wonderful mechanic that can come in with a wand, we're going to need to replace those vehicles. And then any farm equipment, anyone that has a tractor, anything like that, we're always interested in what kind of farm equipment someone has that they want to donate. That's big wish list items. Regular wish list items, let's see. Boy, I didn't prepare well for this section. Would probably be, there are always there is a wish list on the website of simple things, paper towels and, wipes that we need and stuff like that. We can always use, feed for the animals in terms of if someone wants to sponsor sunflower seeds, or the type of chemicals we use on the farm are vinegar we use actually for cleaning a lot of the water tubs with 40 troughs to clean. You can imagine how much vinegar we're going through every week. So that, and the animals, a lot of them have oil in their diet. So just regular oil is always good too as a donation.
Like vegetable oil?
Vegetable oil.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
So let me,
those are
and
two
go
things.
ahead.
Nope, go ahead. It's all right.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask, because I think this is a really important point, and the reason I ask is we had another pop-up grant call recently that this was a really good topic. Because you have animals, and some have just very regular diets, but some have specialized diets. Is it better if someone wants to make a donation, and let's say they're going, to a box store, and they can get you 8 bottles of vegetable oil? Or is it better that you get the monetary donation because there's a specific type of oil that you really prefer to use in the food? So the question is while people are being very generous to actually get you vinegar or oil, is it better that they make the monetary contribution because maybe you do need a very specific brand or type?
Very good question. I think in most cases that we would prefer to have the funds, but in absence of funds, some people just happen to have access to product. And so they say, well, that's easy for me to donate. I have access to this or that, or I have gift certificates at this place or that place. That's another thing. A gift certificate to a grain store is always great because then we can pick it out. But I would say our preference would be for the funds, but if some people just really want to give you something tangible, they
Right.
want to see,
Yeah.
that's fine too. There's nothing that we wouldn't be able to use.
Okay.
The farm is a big place with lots of needs.
No, and I think that that's really important because I think you're right. I think some people like tangible. They like to know, oh, I delivered 12 bottles of oil, and that's a very tangible thing, right? But we do recognize that many of our nonprofits have very specialized needs. And so we try to encourage people to recognize that tangible means that you're giving the nonprofit the opportunity to really purchase those things that they know are the right brand or the right type or whatnot. And that is a very tangible gift in and of
Yeah.
itself. So, all right.
And when we
Anything
talk,
else?
when we talk about the volunteers too, we're always looking for volunteers that have some type of experience. If they are mechanics and want to volunteer time, if any specialty that someone has, we're looking for skills as well as people to work on the farm. So if you're a skilled person plumbing that needs to be redone, we always have something that don't be afraid to call and ask how you can help. We would love to hear from you.
Wonderful.
Really nice.
Wonderful. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Sharon, for joining us today. And once again, congratulations on your pop-up grant.
Thank you. And thank you for Whelen. We really appreciate being pulled out of the hat.
We appreciate all that Whelen Engineering does, and we appreciate all of their employees. They've introduced us to some of the most incredible nonprofits, both in the New Hampshire, Vermont area, as well as right here in our own backyard in Connecticut. So this has been a lot of fun for us, and we hope to have many more. And we can't wait to hear how things are going, and we'll keep an eye on your website for its facelift too.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.